What's going on in this world, man? I'm confused. So now they suspended Whoopi Goldberg because she shared a view that was factually incorrect. And yeah, let's play the clip.
Whoopi Goldberg, co-host of The View, and the only coach to lead the Knicks to a winning season. In case you missed it, the 5 women on The View were having a discussion about Mouse. You remember the graphic novel about the Holocaust. And by the time the discussion was all over, the panel was down to 4.
This morning, more fallout for Whoopi Goldberg. ABC News suspending Goldberg from The View for 2 weeks after she made controversial comments about Jewish people and the Holocaust on Monday's episode.
The Holocaust isn't about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
But it's about white supremacy.
But these are two white groups of people.
Goldberg apologizing live on the program Tuesday.
Yesterday on our show, I misspoke. I regret my comments, as I said, and I stand corrected.
The segment also included an interview with Anti-Defamation League CEO.
Yeah, I'll pause it right there. Yeah. You know, one of the challenges that my friends always told me when I decided to start a podcast or to do these type of videos was, you be very careful of what you say on the internet because it will haunt you for the rest of your life. And a lot of them, they are very much afraid to come join me on these platforms because they would rather live their lives without the consequence of what they said. And the reason I bring my friends up is a lot of times we have conversations, discussions based on misinformation, you know, or based on a level of ignorance. And ignorance is a tough word because ignorance simply means you know about something, but you're not willing to dig deeper. And when we look at the issue of the Holocaust, which I am not in any sense saying I'm an expert at, but I did study during my history lessons, we do know that Hitler was determined to build the perfect race, the iron race it was called, right? That was his prerogative. That's what he was going for. So in this case, you can tell on the first day that Whoopi made her remarks that it was wrong because the Holocaust was driven by racism. That was a man who wanted to wipe out an entire, man, how do I even put it, an entire cluster of people away. Like he wanted to make sure they're done, right? So in that instance, she was wrong. And then she comes back tomorrow and says, I stand corrected. Is this not the world that we live in? Is this not what we want from people? For people to say, I apologize, I was wrong, I did not know, I stand corrected, I am educated. Is this not what the purpose of life is? Us as human beings, understanding that there's things that you don't know, that you think you know. But now that you've expressed what you know, we can now educate you to learn more and understand that, hey, what you said was wrong. One, what the ramifications of what you said is, you gotta go apologize to the people because what you say is the thing with ignorance and with influence that people like Whoopi Goldberg have is it's very hurtful because the moment you say something ignorant on live television, it spreads like wildfire and it impacts the Jews, it impacts non-Jews, people who don't know about the Holocaust, young people, and they now have this antidote of information to say, oh, Whoopi said, you know what I mean? And you can understand why people will go, whoa, don't say that, you know what I mean? But I feel like we have to then use the same platform to go back and say, I was wrong. And we pray and hope that everybody gets that information. But what's about to happen next in these clips makes me sad.
Jonathan Greenblatt, who later commented on Goldberg's suspension.
We shouldn't cancel Whoopi because she made a mistake. I heard Whoopi say that she's committed to doing better. I accept that apology.
ABC releasing a statement acknowledging that Whoopi has apologized, but asking her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments.
Yep.
I want to take you guys back to the statement. Right. Effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities. And this is where, listen, I do get the sense, I do not know what it is with us humans wanting people to face consequences for the things that they said, rather than, listen, I made a mistake, I got it. And we have to, we need to identify these two things. There's one thing to say, if she came out and doubled down and said, yo, I believe what I said, I stand with what I said, this is my word, then you can take the steps to say what she says, which is take time to reflect and learn about the impact of your comments. You can't start it with, while you have apologized and have learned you've learned about the impact of your comments, I'm now still going to punish you. You see, that creates a problem in which people now will be super unwilling to learn, because what's the point? What's the point of me apologizing? If the consequences are still going to be the same? If you're going to punish me for coming back and saying, oh no, I made a mistake and I'm open to being educated, and then you punish me on top of me doing the right thing, the thing that we're asking people to do. And you see, this is the problem with corporations being run in a way to whereby they have no values and do not stand on something, because now you're just being pushed by the wind. Because there's a blowback from somebody, be it the investor, be it whoever, you then go on to suspend that. What are you teaching? What are you trying? What's the point of giving her 2 weeks off? I get what's the point. From a marketing perspective, it makes sense, because this is a PR nightmare that you don't want. So you're going to take her off TV, take away people's attention off of what she said. But then by doing this, you fuel the fire, because now if there were 5 members of the View and all of a sudden there are 4, and the question is, why is the 5th one not there? And then after 2 weeks, when she does come back, this is still going to be a topic of discussion, because the next question is, so Whoopi, what did you learn in these 2 weeks of punishment that Kim Godwin gave you? All right, and now we're going to have to hold you, Kim Godwin, accountable for your actions, because what was the point of, what were you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? Does this mean anytime a member of your View gives an opinion that is wrong and they come and they clarify it, you're constantly going to be giving them 2 weeks off? At some point, all your stuff is just going to start saying weird stuff, because they know you give them 2 weeks to go off and learn. We need to educate people, not to cancel people. We need, if NBC has said, yo, we are going to bring a Jewish guy to come and educate Whoopi Goldberg and the viewers and people who had the same views as her about this situation in the next 2 weeks. We will be focused on making sure in the next 2 weeks we're putting a program that educates people on this topic. I don't know, maybe that would be a better way of doing things. Educate people, don't cancel people. Come on now. Where's people who are saying, I made a mistake?
Has apologized, but asking her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments.
Yep, Whoopi Goldberg is in a whole lot of trouble. And I understand why. I understand why people were upset with what she said, because the way she said it, it made it sound like the Holocaust was just some white people who were fighting some other white people, sort of like Game of Thrones. But as the spokesman for the Anti-Defamation League later explained to her, Hitler did see Jews as a separate race, right? And even worse, as a separate species. Like when you think about it properly, protecting the master race, that was the Nazis' whole thing, race purity. Like all these tiki torch bitches that you see running around now, Hitler was the OG of that. In his mind, everyone was supposed to have blonde hair and blue eyes, except for him. He got to look like an angry broom for some reason, but that's not the point. So I totally understand why people were upset, because the Holocaust had everything to do with race. And I'm glad that Whoopi apologized, because I don't think that she was trying to hurt anybody here. I think she made a mistake. And I will say, I think it's a little weird that her network suspended her for sharing her view on The View. I mean, if she's remorseful, why send her away? Isn't it better to keep her and then use this as a teaching moment? Then you can have everyone watching also learning, oh, I actually didn't know that about the Holocaust. Maybe they didn't. Rather than sending her away for 2 weeks to do what? Reflect and what? Do her own research? mean, that's never a good idea, you know? Yeah, these days you tell someone to go research the Holocaust on their own, and they'll come back in 2 weeks like, did y'all know that the Jews have space lasers? And you'd be like, ah, damn it, you on YouTube? Oh, man. Anyway, let's move on to our next story. Today is Groundhog Day, which leads me to ask.
Anyway, man, Trevor, he's a comedian. I'm not. At the end of the day, we sort of agree on the same point of what should have been done here. Because I really feel like corporations need to be held accountable for their laziness in thinking. This whole idea of constantly being in defensive mode is really not the right move. You can't just be, oh, we don't agree with this. Run, say something, do something. Because now you're doing things without thought process. You're supposed to be the smartest person in the place. You guys are supposed to be strategic. You're supposed to be thoughtful. All right, don't just make moves for the sake of making moves, PR for the sake of PR. There has to be a sense of what is the outcome of what you're trying to learn. Like, I don't know. We'll never know what meetings were held. I do get it. They do probably have Jewish investors, top board members, people who felt some type of way about what she said and who wanted her to be punished for what she said. But then in that also we have a problem. Why do you want people to be punished so bad? They're not, you know what I mean? Like, but anyway, let me know in the comment section what you think about this whole cancel people. Human beings can no longer make mistakes. We are all supposed to be perfect, especially if you're in front of camera on a show called The View, where you are giving your view, which might be limited by the amount of education that you have on certain topics. So should you just keep quiet and say nothing, stay in your ignorance, express your ignorance and get educated? But these days, if you express your ignorance, you don't get educated, you get cancelled, which is a very big problem. With that said, I hope you guys are having a good time. See you in the next one.